Greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is still doing well, and welcome to this night-ending bonus upload. Before we jump into it, a couple quick links. As many of you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, channel membership, and the merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Links to Patreon, PayPal, and channel membership is in the description below. Merch displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeff Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support this channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe. It does not cost a cent. Click the like button, takes half a second. If you don't want to miss out on any of the informative uploads that I put out daily, click the bell icon, and folks, please leave a comment and share the video. Why? Well, because all of these things really do help the channel to continue to grow and go. They definitely do matter, and they are appreciated. And with that, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's jump into this night-ending bonus upload, shall we? Alright everyone, tonight I have a subscriber who has been with the channel for a while. I've actually narrated their experience a while back, and he reached out to me and said, you know, I'd like to be a guest. I'd like to share my experience in my own words. And I said, Dennis, let's get this done. And tonight I have Dennis. Dennis, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing good. We got to chat for a little bit. I had a great conversation with you. I hope you're feeling good about this interview. And, you know, there's no pressure. So feel free to share what you want to share, and not, you know, you don't have to share anything that you're not comfortable sharing. So I'm going to turn the mic over to you so you can share your experiences with us. And I know that you've got some relations down in Tazewell, if I'm not mistaken, or the Virginia area. So you've got some kind of stuff that's happened down there as well. So, you know, feel free to share everything if you want.
Okay. So I guess we can start off with Tazewell, since, you know, there's a lot of stuff been going on down there lately.
Sure.
So there's an area down in Tazewell called Burke's Garden. It's a Amish community, and it's one of Virginia's tallest peninsulas. I've been there multiple different times, and I could speak for the fact that it definitely looks like an area where you would find a lot of cryptozoological animals. Sorry,
That's all right.
yeah, I blank out, I'm sorry. But yeah, there's been multiple reports in that area with, like, folklore. You have the vermin of Burke's Garden, which was a western coyote that killed well over 30, no, I think it was, the report was like 45 different sheep.
Yep.
And, so like I said, I do have family in Tazewell, Virginia. That's where my grandmother was born and raised.
Okay.
And we have a farm right in that, well, there's a farm right next to the property my grandmother was raised on. I remember when I was younger, probably 11 or 12 years old, walking out into the cow pasture all by myself. I think it was probably around 7 or 8 p.m., right before sunset, or right around that time.
Yeah.
And they have large boulders over there. While I'm walking, I hear howling in the distance. And I've always grown up in urban communities and, wooded areas. I know what coyotes sound like. That wasn't a coyote. A wolf, maybe, but definitely not a coyote.
Right.
So in the realm of possibility, that could have been something. I don't know, but it's definitely something to think about.
Yeah, especially with everything going on in Tazewell. Now, did your family ever share any kind of, experiences or kind of, people talking about, Bigfoot or Dogman or kind of any kind of creatures that you overheard back when you were younger?
No, most of the experience they talked about is about a ghostly apparition of a woman called the Haint.
Yep, the Haint. Yep.
Um, that's pretty much all I heard. There's an area called Bear Town. I guess there's a lot of big black bear in Tazewell, Virginia.
Yeah, DJ's
But I've
from
never
that
personally
area.
seen any myself. I've seen droppings, but never the bear.
Right.
So, actually, my first ever wild bear sighting was in Tennessee.
That's
So,
crazy because you're from New Jersey, and New Jersey has a huge population of bear. You wouldn't think it does, but it really does, which is, it's kind of funny. So,
actually, the last black bear sighting in New Jersey was maybe 2 or 3 months ago
yeah,
over towards Parvin State Park, which is less than 15 minutes away from me. So
yeah. When I was talking to Paul Evans in Pedersen, he was telling me, he's like, yeah, we got a lot of bear up here and or down there, and I was like, really? And he's like, you wouldn't think it, but yeah.
he also mentioned that they may be releasing bear in the Pine Barrens.
Yeah, yep.
I remember that episode pretty well.
Yeah, he thinks for some different reasons too, to cover
Nefarious,
up.
for sure.
Yeah. So your experience that you had, that I had narrated, that was in New Jersey.
Yes. So this is an area I used to work security in for a little over 2.5 years.
Okay.
Called Finn's Point National Cemetery. And the road connects to our state park called Fort Mott, which is right there on the Delaware River.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, Finn's Point National Cemetery is where Andrew Cunanan, I don't know if you remember news media about him.
No, fill us in.
He was a serial killer that's been on the run.
Okay.
Well, his last victim was murdered in that cemetery.
Oh, okay.
I guess he was, on the run, and he got himself lost in the cemetery, I guess. He killed the groundskeeper in the basement of the house. I'm going to send you that picture.
Was this when you were working there?
No, this was like the early 1990s.
Okay. All right.
Or late 1980s, I forget which.
Okay. So back to your encounter. Let's talk about your encounter. You're working at the cemetery. Are you on duty during your... Can you paint the picture of how your encounter went down?
Yeah, so I was doing nightly patrols. I drive around the cemetery in my own personal vehicle.
Okay.
I hated the little smart car they gave us. Out of all the cool security vehicles, available, you give us a little tiny smart car. But I'm riding around the cemetery, and then I think it was my 7th lap. So, I'm riding right past the gate, and I see the hind legs of something really, really big with the coloration of a German Shepherd. Now, I'm like, okay, I know that wasn't a coyote. That wasn't a deer. It had a tail, and I don't know what type of dog could get that big other than a Dogman.
Right.
I never smelled anything. There was no stench in the air. But keep in mind, I was in a car. You know, I only had one window down, and the wind was blowing in the opposite direction.
Yep.
I didn't hear if the outside got quiet or not, because I was in the middle of listening to an audiobook when that happened.
So you see it.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying. So you saw it as you're driving, and it just what did it run the opposite direction, or?
Yeah, so it looked like it was just passing through. It may have been chasing something.
Okay.
So the way it was going, I don't know if it jumped over a little creek that's right there by the cemetery, or if it ran around the corner of the fence line, because the fence can get really tall in areas since the ground isn't super even. But I did see ears. I just never saw a face.
Right.
So, and when it ran past the gate, I was only able to see the back end of it. But I don't know if I was more scared of seeing it, or if it was just the initial shock of, oh shit, that actually happened.
Right. Right. So height-wise, can you share like the physical? I mean, I know it was brief, but
right.
Could you estimate? You know, it was running by a gate. You're in a cemetery. There's got to be some sort of landmarks to kind of guesstimate its height at.
Yeah. So that gate has to be at least 9 to 10 feet tall.
Okay.
I would have to say at the highest point in the back end, it was probably 4.5 feet off the ground. Because it's back paws, it wasn't like he jumped past the gate. He trotted past the gate. So.
Now, was it quadruped at the time or bipedal?
Oh, yeah, it was definitely on all fours.
Okay, yeah, to be at 4 feet.
Yeah.
And how fast would you say it was running?
If I had to guess, probably.
I mean, faster than a human?
I don't even think it was running. I just think it was that big. It looked like it was running.
Okay.
It may have only been going 10 to 15 miles per hour.
So just going from one place to the other.
Yeah.
So where it came from, you had said this cemetery connects to a state park. Would it have been coming out of the state park, or?
It was probably on the trail that we were talking about earlier.
Okay.
Probably. So I know I sent you the pictures of the brush over there and the little bushes that had these big holes in them.
Right.
Which looked like it could be a game trail or a doorway, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
I could see deer getting in them too. That brush may have been there. He was probably following deer.
Okay.
Maybe I never saw the deer, but I saw him. Maybe he was chasing a deer when this happened.
Yeah, could be. Has there ever been any kind of other sightings of a large dog in that? I mean, would coworkers talk about anything in that area?
All of the coworkers I have, we have an extensive amount of reports of seeing shadow people at night.
Okay.
Especially since that's what most of us did. We worked night shift. So, but no actual reports of large dogs. There's a lot of coyotes in that area, and you hear them almost every night. Probably about a month after that initial sighting.
Mm-hmm.
I had a friend of mine who was out there hanging out with me. He doesn't work with me. He was just out there, chatting and hanging out. But we're walking around the blacktop of the cemetery, like the same route I took my car in when I saw it. And we just hear coyotes yelling, screaming, howling. And my friend's like, either those coyotes are attacking someone's dog or they are getting attacked themselves.
Right.
Well, that made me want to walk back to my car real quickly.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the thing is, I've been out there for over 2 years. I've never felt threatened. I never felt like I was in danger being out there. And when I saw this thing run past, I yelled at it. I'm like, leave me alone,
Right.
But
Right.
I don't think it had any interest in me. I think it was just doing what it did and minding its own business, which is probably what I should have done, but...
How large is this cemetery?
It's pretty big. I mean, it's a cemetery for veterans.
Okay.
And the monument, there's two different monuments there, one for Confederate soldiers and one for the Union soldiers.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Actually, they even have some of the World War II prisoners of war during World War II that were locked up at Fort Dix.
Really?
Yeah. I got the pictures of the information boards for you.
Okay.
They're a little hard to read, but I will send those over to you.
All right. Yeah, definitely. How close to the Pine Barrens is that state park in the Pine Barrens or?
So, I don't think that's really considered the Pine Barrens. I think from there, the Pine Barrens would be like 45 miles or so.
Okay.
Or 45 minutes, not miles. But there's also Pine Barrens in Millville, New Jersey.
Right.
Which is probably 35 minutes.
Yeah, well, the way Paul described the Pine Barrens is it's just a huge stretch of land that connects, and there's an airport. And one of the airports is in the Pine Barrens, Paul had said. And I was like, really? And he's like, yeah, it's
right.
Absolutely huge. So that's why I asked if there was, because I think there was like two or three parks, if I'm not mistaken, that he had said. I know there's an old brick factory out there and a whole bunch of other kind of crazy, strange stuff out there too.
Right.
Which is fascinating because it's just, it's a very interesting. You've got a lot of, I guess, different lands out there. He's like, you've got some strange sandy areas out there. You've got some thick forest out there. You've got plants that only grow in that part of the country.
Right.
So it's definitely a unique environment. That's what I meant to say. Different environments in the Pine Barrens.
Yeah. Well, even New Jersey in general, I remember finding, I'm pretty sure it was like a goof story on why New Jersey would probably be the best place for werewolves. And in that story, it was saying how diverse our topography is over here in New Jersey. I mean, you go up north, you have mountains and, cliffs, rocky outcrops and all that. But further south you go, you have beaches, saltwater marshes, cranberry fields,
Cranberry bogs, yeah. Paul had sent me some pictures of that too. I thought it was interesting when I met Paul because, and you're familiar with a lot of Paul's work and stuff, and he had never heard of Dogman prior to him and I talking.
Right.
And then he started to look at a lot of the Jersey Devil sightings. And he was like, whoa, maybe a lot of these, sightings could be Dogman.
Right.
And I thought that was really, he's a very open-minded guy. Speaking of the Jersey Devil, have you had you seen anything strange like that? Or, I know there's old Red Eyes that's supposed to be in New Jersey.
Yeah, I definitely thought I saw old Red Eyes over in Malacca Hill, New Jersey.
Okay.
Me and my friends were hanging out next to a cornfield and a patch of wood, just smoking, bullshitting, and all that after work. And then I look up, I see eyes probably, I don't know, 60, 70 yards out in the woods, big red eyes, about the size of golf balls. And I told everybody, I'm like, all right, everybody, pack up, we're leaving. Well, they didn't see it. They weren't paying attention.
Right.
One of them even tried to say, hey, you're going a little crazy, and the other one stuck up for me. Hey, Keith knows what he's talking about. If he says it's time to go, we gotta go.
Right, yeah.
So, but with the Jersey Devil, I know this doesn't really count. Bridgeton's Cohansey Zoo, or Cohanzic Zoo, they did a Jersey Devil Halloween scary, like, they had one of the zookeepers dress up as a Jersey Devil, and it was like a horror show almost.
Okay.
I guess that's the closest thing I could say about the Jersey Devil is I saw him as an actor.
Okay.
Yeah. That was a scary night too, dude. They need to do that again.
Yeah. So, I mean, you don't work security at that cemetery anymore, do you?
No, so I would have stayed there forever if they would have let us. Our contract had ended October 23rd, 2020, I think.
Okay. Now,
yeah.
What year was this that you saw the creature?
It was in 2020.
It was in 2020.
Yeah, the year I saw Dogman was the last year I worked at that cemetery.
Okay. All right. Had you ever told anybody about what you saw that evening?
I've told a bunch of people, and I have a few people who think I'm crazy, but I have more people who actually believe that I saw what I saw.
Right.
But then again, I've been doing the cryptid groups on Facebook for a long time, so of course there's going to be a bunch of people who believe me.
Yeah. Yep.
And I have a bunch of open-minded friends, who believe that the possibility of things being out there,
absolutely
isn't too far-fetched.
No, it's definitely not at all. I mean, I had talked to you a little bit about what I did today, the hike I went on today, and while I was walking out through there, I had said, how often does someone see a bear? Not, but we know bears exist,
Right.
So it's not too far-fetched to think that something like a Dogman or something like a Bigfoot would be able to live out in the woods of America, or the woods of the world, actually, and not be seen, but just
Right.
periodically, like your sighting, it was brief, it was quick, it was a chance sighting, but you saw it, so it was, if you hadn't been looking that way, you wouldn't have seen it. It was that quick,
Right.
And that cemetery connects to a state park, so there's probably, tons of forest right there.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a chance sighting. And I really think it's funny how people don't put that into perspective, that, how often do we see a bear? How often do we see,
Right.
a mountain lion, a bobcat, just a bobcat? Bobcats are pretty much everywhere. How often do we see one? Not often, but we know they're there. So,
Right.
and I guess that might be a poor analogy, but because they're small, but you'd think that with the numbers of them, you'd see them more often than anything. So,
Right.
yeah, I mean, you didn't see any eye shine from this. 'Cause that's right, you didn't see a face, but you just caught the ears.
Just the tips,
Okay.
you know.
Was there tufts on the ear tips or?
Um, Not that I remember,
Okay.
or either that, or I just wasn't quite focused enough to tell.
Right.
Um, but let's talk about like the fact that a lot of Dogman sightings are actually seen close to or around cemeteries.
Yeah.
I mean, so right next to Fort Mott in the river, there's a place called Fort Delaware or Pea Patch Island that used to be a military prison. So they would have captured Confederate soldiers and have had them brought to this prison.
Mm-hmm.
And so this prison was actually very, very bad. And the fact that a lot of people went malnourished and, they were just treated very cruelly. So there was a disease that in that prison that has killed a lot of people.
Yep.
So these things, I believe, kind of feed off that negative energy.
Yeah.
And they attract themselves to areas where that type of history is, prevalent.
Yeah, I really think that too. I mean, you always hear them being spotted near cemeteries, sleeping in cemeteries, and
Did you? Sorry, go ahead.
No, what were you gonna say?
I was about to say, did you see that one video of what potentially could be Dogman digging in the dirt?
I shared the video the other day. Yeah,
Yeah.
The girls who were filming it said that they could see it better than we could, and you can hear them say she. So I don't think it was a Dogman at all. I think it was like a feral person or a drug-addled person.
Oh, okay, it could be, yeah.
Because the videos that when people show that video, they don't put the audio in, and so you just see this thing digging in the dirt. Very, you've got a black kind of figure just rummaging through dirt. But the two girls that were there, I think it was a Instagram. Yeah, it was an Instagram live or something, and they had said, "What is she doing?" Like 2 or 3 different times they said she. So,
Right.
It's definitely. I mean, it could be a Dogman, but for the girls to say she, and it was facing that way, you'd think they'd see a snout. But,
right.
Yeah, I had seen that. Yeah, I shared that video the other day on the channel, talking about that it was possibly a feral person, or possibly a drug-addled person. But I don't think it was an addict. I think it was more or less. I think it possibly a feral person just digging, because they dug quite a big hole. I don't know if you saw the hole after that was dug, but it was pretty big.
Yeah, I saw it.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, Dogmen are, and like you had said, the cemetery that you worked at by a river. So there's perfect area for Dogmen to travel. We all know that they like to travel near rivers.
And there's a lot of food sources there. Rabbits, coyotes, deer, fish, turtles.
Yeah.
I've seen foxes, raccoons out there, skunks. Actually, almost every single morning after my shift is over, I have to chase deer out of the cemetery because they jump over the brick wall and then get themselves stuck.
Right.
Yeah,
so it's perfect source of food for a Dogman, and water, a place for them to rest, because for some reason you don't hear them dwelling in caves. They like to be in the open, in cemeteries, and I think maybe that's so they know what's around them, so they don't get boxed in somewhere. Yeah, it's definitely a interesting place to dwell. Like I have the cemetery by my house where my daughter and her friends saw a Dogman, and I went there the other day, made a video, and people were able to see how big it was. And it's got 2 ponds, it's got a huge stream that runs through it, it's got multiple sections of forest, there's deer in there as well, plenty of space, food, and water. So
well, that one picture I sent you with me in front of the gate, I have my arm hanging up about to where how tall I saw it.
Yeah.
I'm 5'11", so that has to be at least 4.5, 5 feet tall.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd
be very surprised if it was, if it wasn't.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we're about ready up on time. I appreciate you sharing your experience with us. It was fun.
Yeah.
I'm gonna post the picture that you had just said. I'm gonna put that at the end here so people can see that picture, but I'll also put it in the beginning too. And I'll put the pictures of the brush, because like you said, that really, when I was looking at it, I was like, yeah, that looks to me like a game trail, or a doorway, a hallway. It's something that through all the experiences that we've heard, it seems like a place that a Dogman would travel through, not being seen, and very discreet, so
right.
Yeah, I appreciate you sending the pictures, because it really does help paint the picture for people to realize where you were and the setting of everything.
Yeah, I got more pictures I need to send you, so you could add those to the video if you choose to.
Yeah, that'll be great. So is there anything that you'd like to say to the audience before we end the video?
I would say just be careful. You never know what's out there. Keep your head on a swivel. And if it charges at you, and if you have to defend yourself, don't hesitate.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely be hyper vigilant, especially nowadays. I just think that you should, and be aware of your surroundings, because it might not just be, people. Yeah, one, or it might not be a Dogman. You might be looking for a Dogman, and there might be something completely different that you're not ready for.
Oh yeah.
So I think that people really need to be on their game at all times if they're in the wilderness at all times. So. But Dennis, it was great talking to you. Do me a favor, don't hang up. I want to talk to you for a few minutes before after I end the upload, okay?
Okay.
All right. It was awesome having you on. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much as well.
And there you have it, folks. I do hope you all enjoyed this night-ending bonus as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. I'd like to thank you all for supporting the channel. It is, after all, your support that helps the channel to continue to grow and go, and what gives us all a place and a chance to share our experiences and theories judgment-free. Everyone is simply treated with the respect that we deserve. Stay safe, happy, healthy, and ever vigilant, keeping an eye on our children, pets, family, and friends. These creatures are real. These events have happened. Share this information with those you love and care about, and it may just help save their lives someday. Until next time, never stop asking questions, never stop searching for the truth, and God bless you all.